Well, hello, 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 friends. It's the NHL Pearl Wisdom Show, and we are back once again. And this, of course, is Steel. Steel's in the house. We were blessed with prize yesterday. We have Steel today. It's the Frolic will be endless today, I'm sure. We're gonna have lots to talk about today. How you doing, Steel?
Oh man, I'm doing great. How about you? How about you?
Excellent. It's beautiful here in Alberta. I love There's like 2, 3 months in Alberta that is like, if you could just box that up and have that all year, I want to live there. I love it. I love it. It's
Well,
beautiful.
you do live there, and so the only problem is that you can't box it up.
No,
You only get it for 2 3 months out of the year, and then
that's
that's
it.
it.
And everything
Sorry.
else is poopty.
Well,
Well, fall here is great actually. So I would say April. Once you get past the May snowfall,
the fact that you have to say that
yeah,
you have to get past the May
snowfall,
snowfall.
yeah.
Okay.
June, July, August, September, and beginning of October is actually, it's not just 3 months, it's about 3.5. It's really nice. But our summers here are real awesome. We have long days. It's not like right now it's about 77, 78, somewhere around there. And generally speaking, that's where we stay. It can get hotter, but generally, and I love that. That's perfect temperature for me.
Okay. Okay. I got you. Because in the Northeast, um, it goes from, depending on where in the Northeast you are, it can be anywhere from 48 degrees in the morning to 90 degrees during the daytime.
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then till you get to like the end of June, because June 21st is the first day of summer. So till you get to June, it's pretty much up in the air weather-wise. You know what I mean? And depending on how things go, if there's a lot of rain or not. Been a little bit dry in the Northeast this year, certain places. So
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It's 90 is hot for. I'm a wimp when it comes to heat. 90, that's all. Especially with humidity and all that.
you
Like
know what
we're
those
we're
you know
dry.
what's really been hot?
We're dry here.
I'll tell you what, you know what's really been hot?
What's that?
The playoff hockey. That's just been smoking hot.
Yeah, and we're gonna be talking about. We got to talk about the Leafs exit and where they're going from here and all that kind of stuff like that, and that's what we're gonna get into today. Uh, the First of all, let
Well,
me just.
not only that, but we have to talk about that Boston Islanders game.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll talk about the Boston Islanders game. That was something else. I still say Boston. Really, the Islanders did what the Islanders do. They get outplayed. They come out at certain points. It's like they know when to put the energy up at the right time, and it's very aggravating to watch, to tell you the honest truth. I'm
I
not
can
even really a
understand that.
Boston fan. I mean, just in general, they just it's pretty incredible. Those great coaches like Tortorella, Trotz. It just seems like their teams can be outplayed and win so often. It's
Well, seeing
incredible.
as how Tortorella's nowhere close to this playoffs, we're talking about Barry Trotz
Yeah,
here.
Barry Trotz is like that. Like his
Yeah.
teams, it's like he knows when to turn. He knows how to get his teams turning on the energy at the right time, when to attack, and everything. I don't know. I'm still learning watching them with what they do, watching him with what he does there.
Well, he was very much like that with when he was coaching the Capitals. And it just seemed like he was able to get the most out of Ovechkin and Oshie and all the rest of the guys that were there. It just seemed like he was putting them in situations to be successful,
Yeah,
taking advantage of the players' strengths. and not putting the player out there for one of their weaknesses.
Yeah, sure. There's all of those things, and again, he got Washington at times playing the trap. You know, they were playing the trap. That was unheard of in Washington to do. You know? And at times he had them even playing the trap, and he knew he had the systems down. He seemed to be able to get it through his guys when to slow down the game if need be, and speed up the game when need be, right at the right times. And that's what great coaches do, and he certainly does it with the Islanders. That's for sure. The Islanders are too good. Implicit's an Islanders fan, as you can tell.
Yes, we can tell and we know and we understand. However, I am saying this. I picked the Islanders to win the division.
Yeah,
Little did I realize that they were going to win their first series against Pittsburgh, the team that did win the division. So I had faith in the Islanders. I was just shocked that they didn't win the division, that they had finished fourth, and it was like, man, Boston was in fourth for so long, and then towards the end there, Boston got hot and played better, and the Islanders weren't playing so hot and dropped down to the fourth place spot. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh well, okay, and now we're getting to see that series.
yeah.
We're getting to see the Boston Islanders series, and it's for real. This is for moving on.
Yeah, and we'll see how it continues, and we'll get into that game when we get into that game. But the big question was, were they going to be able to score on Boston like they did with, Pittsburgh? And I mean, Rask was in net, and they got the goals last night. So
Certainly didn't have much of a problem. I mean, don't get us wrong now. I mean, Rask made some really good saves. He made some good saves, but he just didn't make some good saves then too. Those goals that were scored, some of the two power play goals were, the one of them was like the puck basically ricocheted around there, and then the other power play goal there was, he had no chance. It was just a bang bang play, and he had no chance. So I mean, I don't know. It's
well, the Islanders were outshot early, and then started coming back in the later in the game. Looked like Boston really had a handle on it, but
well, when Boston came out and scored that first goal, I mean, it's a whole different ball game when the fans are in the stands, because you get that wave of emotion now when you watch the games, because when the fans are in the stands now, and the team scores, it's like you get that wave you know of optimism. Hey, our team scored. Yeah, but for how long?
yeah, um, yeah. I don't know. I can't really say, like, I still don't think I say this every time. That's why I have a hard time talking about Islanders games, because I say this every time. I think Boston outplayed them and the Islanders won. And nobody does that better than the Islanders, except for
You know
maybe
what though?
Dallas last year.
Okay, but I don't really think that's per se the case.
Yeah,
I think I think the Islanders played. I think they might have outplayed Boston in the first. I'd say at least the first period. At the very least, the first period.
let me open that up. Are you watching a different game than I was? Uh,
I mean, Boston scored the first goal. I get it, but that was 3 minutes into the first period, right? And then it was the Islanders scored two goals and then three goals, right? And then after that, then Boston finally picked it up and scored those two goals to tie it up.
I'm bringing it up here now. It takes a long time when we have. I
That's
don't know.
okay.
Especially, I don't know. For some reason, when I have you on, it takes a lot longer. I don't know why that is. Okay.
Well,
I don't have the period stats here.
okay. Well, Boston scored the first goal.
Yeah, but what about the shots first period? I could have swore Boston totally outshot them in the first period.
All right, hold on. our crack research team here. All right, for the period,
How come I don't
all I
have that?
have is a total of 39 shots for the Islanders, 42 for the
Yeah,
Bruins.
I don't know why I don't have that here on here, but I could have swore they outshot him in the first period. I thought they always gave that on the score. I got to go somewhere else for that for those stats. Um, play by play. No, I don't want to recap. I don't know, but I could have swore they outshot them anyways. Overall, for the whole game, I think Boston really played a better game, but that's just the way the Islanders are. We'll see.
Well, I didn't say that they didn't necessarily didn't play a better game. It's just that I thought that the Islanders were not necessarily outplayed by Boston in the first period,
No,
even though Boston scored first, right? And then after that, then the Islanders scored 3 goals in the
they
second.
were up a lot of shots and a lot of possession time, second and third period, and then the Islanders got some quote quote lucky goals, and next thing you know, it's tied. And that's just what the Islanders do. They do that all the time. I very seldom. Sometimes the Islanders outplay their opposition, but way more than anyone else, I think more than any other team, the Islanders win games that looks like they are outplayed, and I don't get it, but they do it. Action is wonky. That's why it's so slow. Okay, I got to keep on turning this on and off. There, should be good now. Should be good now. Um, yeah, but they're just good at it. There's just teams that know how to hold on, and the Islanders, there's nobody better. There's nobody
Yeah.
better with Barry Trotz's system for holding on and just finding their spots, and when they get opportunities, they score. Unlike a lot of other teams, like maybe the Vegas Knights or something like that, there's a level of confidence in this team that allows them to score on a lower percentage of shots than any other team, and that's all confidence. It's loose. It's holding your. It's not holding your stick too tight. It's believing in yourself that you're going to hit that at that time. And I think
Well,
in doing in this like mass, like almost like mad science type of way, they conserve energy by playing the way they do. Would you agree?
yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I mean, they just seem to be able to, when they need to, be able to have that, extra burst of speed or that little bit of extra gas in the tank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they play very efficiently.
Mm,
Like
that's the word.
you don't see guys caught out there for long shifts.
No,
You know what I
no.
mean? Those guys are quick on that,
Yeah.
man. The hand is up quick, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when it's time to change, right? The hand goes up and you skate to the bench for your change, right? Those hands go up quick. And guys don't spend a lot of time on the ice for their shifts. You know what I mean? And so it also helps that there are 2 of 3 on the power play. So when you're efficient like that uh, on the special teams, and they let 1 out of 2 on the penalty kill, you know what I mean? So it's
But the thing about them is they're not really a great power play team. But if they're not playing well in other areas, or if they get outplayed, all of a sudden they score on the power play, or they drop penalties at the right times. They just do everything at the right times, and it seriously seems like they're almost conserving energy over the long haul to win a series. Um, I've never seen anything like it before. I've never seen anything
how's
like it.
this for you? How's this for you? 95 hits in this game. 95.
Is it possible the
That
better a goalie is, the team shots would be equal in nature? I don't know what he means by that. 95 hits, yeah, okay. Who had the most hits?
it was 48 to 47.
So it's almost bang on, 48 to 47.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
mm,
The Islanders had 48, the Bruins had 47.
yeah, hard hitting game. Uh,
I mean, that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about here, where we were talking about this earlier, where teams that are physical, teams that are banging bodies, teams that are finishing checks. Those are the teams that are moving on. Those are the teams that are going to the next round. Those are the teams that are, eventually hoisting the cup. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Now I wanted to get into something because now, remember I told you, once Toronto, it's going to be a hate-filled disaster till the regular season in Toronto after all of this. And so Marner's a bum apparently now. Marner, what do you figure about that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I mean. A lot of that's what's coming out a lot. Marner's a bum. They've pretty much excommunicated him, all of those sort of things like that. He's been blacklisted by a lot of people because of some of the things he did.
Is that what's going on in the Canadian media right now? That's what's happening?
Well, in general, fans, everything. I don't, the media in Toronto. There's both sides. The media will never say get rid of Toronto, Marner or anything like that, but they're going to really highlight his guffaws through the whole thing and all that kind of stuff like that, and it gets the fan base going, and then the media, the lesser media, the less mainstream media, feeds off that, and they want to get people to like them, so they start doing Marner trades and Marner out of here and all of that kind of stuff like that. So that's what's going on there.
Well, here's the thing, though, okay? A wise man once told me that social media does not represent the entire fan base.
No, of course not. No, 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 no. It doesn't.
So
But I'll tell you
you
this.
have to take social media with a grain of salt when it comes to what the opinions of a group of social media
Sure,
people are.
but social media
A very
is a
powerful and
very powerful
very
thing. Yeah.
persuasive. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not taking away from
See,
that at
your
all. But
average fan looks at those major social media sites and they form their opinions on that. The average fan will watch whatever's going on and then they'll start going on their social media sites. Like if I go on Facebook right now, you're going to have guys that are supporting Marner and say, you guys are crazy, he's too good. But you're going to have a lot of guys saying a million reasons why they need to trade Marner right now.
you mean like
Yeah,
on
Leafs
the
fans want Kyle Dubas fired. There's another one.
okay, so there you go. Um, I don't know what to say about that because I've been on that losing end. I know what it's like to lose and go home. And I've seen my teams lose and go home. Okay? And the first thing you want to do is fire the coach and get rid of the captain and trade the quarterback
Mm-hmm.
and get rid of this guy and that guy and this and that and everything else. Well, so after the dust settles, you have to take a little step and take a breather and let all the dust settle first and get all the emotion out of it. Because once you get all the emotion out of it, then you get down to the brass
Mm-hmm.
tacks. Okay? And the brass tacks are going to be this difficult to believe. And see, I see this with my own team as well, because my own team basically stunk out and wasn't able to even make the bloody
Yeah.
playoffs, let alone lose to the lowest team in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think I would much rather have not made the playoffs. It's a better draft pick, at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe we'll see. It depends on who you pick, but this is what I think. Okay, I've been saying that they might have to trade Marner all along, but not because Marner's bad. He's a kid who got to once Tavares went down. He's a kid who's nervous and whatever it happens. Right? It's not something you want to see. It's hard to see from it's
yeah.
hard to see from a kid that's a 110-point left winger in the NHL, but it happens, and it happened. He he buckled not buckled isn't the right way. He was holding the stick too tight. All of
Overwhelmed.
them were holding their stick too tight. They
Overwhelmed.
were trying too hard, almost. In the end, they were overwhelmed. Yeah, I guess is a good way to put it. Especially him. He was rushing everything, rushing the passes, rushing their shots, and a lot of that has to do with a lot of things. By the way, we just did a video on this. You might want to check it out. It's a fantastic video on this whole topic. So I'm not going to get into everything because I really want you to watch the video, but I will get into the fact that I did think that after bringing Tavares in, first of all, for me was a mistake. They didn't need to spend that much money to have veteran leadership in that room, and I thought it was going to stop them from being able to build enough depth to be able to be a good enough team in the playoffs, which it appears that is the case. However, I'm going to give Dubas, who they want fired, a little bit of grace here because he probably had a plan that included having cap space increases, right?
Hmm.
And there's no cap space increases, and now he's like, "What do I do here?" And
Okay,
I think
but
I think he didn't do a bad job considering.
okay, but they've known about the cap space not increasing for since the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah,
When they
but
came, because right at the beginning of the pandemic is right when they were doing the
right,
CBA.
but they weren't going out to get Tavares, signing Nylander, giving Marner 11.5, all of that with the thoughts that the pandemic was coming. You see what I mean?
Okay, I get what you're saying
Yeah.
there. All right.
So yeah, yeah, they weren't safe in their salaries, and that is really kind of still the problem there in Toronto, and it's going to be the problem next year. So
Okay, I get what you're saying now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what do you do
Because
from
they
here?
kind of got caught out by the pandemic because they signed these guys for big contracts, hoping that, the salary cap was going to increase every year and everything like that. And then, see, I think there's a couple other teams that are going to be caught out like that, and I think Tampa Bay is going to be one of them.
Yeah, they're going to have, but I think they have more flexibility. Tampa Bay to trade players.
Yeah, because they have better
They have
depth.
better depth, exactly. Toronto has to get depth, and the only way they might be able to do that is to trade Marner.
I mean, yeah, yeah, you have to trade away some assets so you can get draft picks because that's the only way you gain assets is to get those draft picks so that those guys become those players that the team needs. That to me is, I mean, let's face it. Um, a lot of successful teams have built from the draft.
Yeah, I don't think in this case though that they're gonna want draft picks. They're gonna want players for now, players that can play right now, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because they've
yeah.
got a certain window with Matthews and Tavares and all of that, and they need. I had a proposal. Hot Takes Hockey. John had something out there asking for a proposal for Marner, and I put down Donskoy, Burakovsky, and Byram from Colorado. Just imagine Marner on that freaking Colorado team. Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be
Wow.
sick. Anyways, but so you get
Wow.
Burakovsky and Donskoy. They either one of those guys could be gone in expansion this year. That's how deep Colorado is. And
That's true.
Byram is a fantastic
I saw
defenseman
a
coming
I
up.
saw a mock draft with Donskoy being the selected player from
Right.
Colorado.
And that's
Uh,
a
be,
25 to 30 goal scorer that they're going to have to let go.
man, I'll tell you what, that would be, gosh,
That would be
that's
insane.
sick.
That would be insane,
That's
right?
insane. That would be like dropping Eichel on that team.
Well, and that was a possibility too. I looked at that as well as a possibility.
Or maybe putting, or gosh, could you imagine putting Eichel with, I mean, dare I say it,
Well,
Toronto?
that's been talked to, but I think that's too many centers. The only way they could do that is if they actually traded Tavares in the deal. And I don't think that the optics on that look horrible for one thing.
Well,
They
that's
begged,
true.
borrowed, and steal to get the Islanders, Tavares from the Islanders. and basically convinced Tavares in every way possible to rip himself out of the island and go to Toronto, and then just to go trade him like this. And yeah, I'm positive he has an ironclad no movement clause. Pretty sure he's not going to waive it to go to Buffalo. Pretty sure.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, no, I didn't say he was going to get traded to
No, but I
Buffalo.
mean, if you were to bring him over, Eichel over, where are you going to put Tavares on the wing? I suppose. I guess you could, but
Why? Why? I mean, why would you? I'm not talking about getting rid of him. No, are you kidding?
yeah. Well, I'm just saying that he's not really a winger, so you'd have to put him on the wing, and they've already got Matthews and Tavares up the middle, so it would be a little bit difficult of a trade.
There's still four. There's still two other centers you need.
Yeah, but I mean that's a lot of money up the middle. Holy crap! How do you? It's not unheard of. You would have to trade Marner for that deal for sure. I hear Riley Morgan Riley might want to be traded. Oh, that would be devastating. Oh my gosh. Uh, let's hope that's not the case for Toronto fans.
Yeah, because here I was quite shocked at this whole series. When I first, I mean, I even watched like the first game. Was like, wow, Toronto, yeah, all right. Toronto looks good. Montreal, not so much. Second game, Toronto, yep, still looks pretty good. Montreal, not so much.
Yeah.
Third game, right? That's the one that Montreal won, right? Was it the third
That was when
game or was it the fourth
Tavares
game?
got hurt, right?
Yeah, I think so. Right? So that was the game that they won. And then it was like, okay, well, Tavares got hurt, blah, blah, blah. And then Montreal came out, and Toronto came out and went up 3-1 on the series. And it was like, yeah, all right, still, it's Toronto's to lose. And what did they just bloody do? I mean, Montreal just racked off, what, 3 games in a row or 2 games in a row to win the series.
Yep. Well, I think when Tavares went down, it gave them this boost of belief in themselves because Kerfoot's not much. I mean, Foligno was playing injured. There's no doubt about that. He was injured, and when he was in, he was playing injured. Uh, so they really were strapped up the middle once Tavares went down. And I think Montreal just got this after he went down. They said, you know what, we can take this team. And it's amazing what belief can do for you. And when you start believing in yourself and you start and
It's
Toronto
like that.
stopped started believing in themselves less when
Yeah,
Tavares went down because he's sort of their spiritual leader where he
yeah.
gets them to believe in themselves. Now I thought Foligno might help out more in that regard and they'd be able to scrape it out, but they weren't able to do
That was
so.
not the case, was
No,
it?
yeah. So anyways, the very interesting thing now we looked at what Toronto's going to do now. Honestly, it's really up in the air. They don't have much cap room again. Uh, let's look at what some of the people they got to sign here. Um,
It's going to be a tough summer because they don't have the cap space, and they're going to be, they're kind of like what you said there. They were signing these big contracts to these players with the hopes that the salary cap was going to go up, and that just wasn't the
yeah,
case.
this as
So
of
they're going to.
they're going to have 12 million in cap space, but they've got to sign. Hopefully, get Zach Hyman signed. Where's that team without Zach Hyman? Really? I mean, to me, if they don't have him, where they got to get another him.
How do you get another
I
him?
mean, yeah, like he's like their Gallagher or guys like that. They need guys like that so much that
Yeah.
they need guys that are going to be able to put their bodies out there. I also think it's very possible that Mitch Marner was injured because Mitch Marner was not playing the game that we usually see him play, going into the net. He is a guy that's not afraid to go to the net and not afraid to get physical. He looked pretty perimeter all the way through. So It's possible they had a lot of injury problems in there, and they're not using it as an excuse, but it's possible. But the fact of the matter is, if they don't, they got to sign Zach Hyman, and I think Zach Hyman's going to demand five at least, which only leaves them $7 million. And the rest of them they can kind of let go. Uh, Joe Thornton,
It's amazing. It's amazing how quickly the money goes.
yeah,
When you have to start signing players, okay, it's amazingly how quickly the money goes.
yeah. I mean, what do you do with Frederick Anderson? He's injured. They're probably going to have to get a different goaltender. I, it's they are in tough spot here. Tough spot. It's
Exactly. And with not a lot of cap space money to play with, that's not going to allow them to do any of the upgrades that they're going to need to do
mm-hmm.
potentially, like in goal or in defense or wherever they want to
Yeah,
do their upgrades. You
very
know what
tough
I mean?
spot.
And so I understand all too well the intricacies of that issue.
They could possibly guarantee getting Bedard in 2023. Trade Matthews, Marner, and trade everybody away. I doubt that they'll do that, but trade everybody away.
Well, that is an option. You could
No,
do that,
they're not doing that. They
but
love Marner. I believe in Matthews too. He, he did.
that's a heck of a
I
core.
believe in Matthews. I believe in Marner. I believe that they can continue on here. Matthews is, like I've said before, he's got the sickest shot in the NHL. Somebody mentioned here about the Devondre talking about Washington getting long in the tooth, and they are. And Ovechkin probably has had the best shot in the league for a long time, but I think this year Marner took it over. I think Marner's got the sickest shot in the NHL. I certainly wouldn't want to move that away. Uh,
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you on that one for sure. I really like how he has. I mean, Ovechkin, yep, still can put the puck in the net, but yeah, you can definitely tell that, Father Time is starting to catch up to the Ovechkin.
a little bit. I think he's still okay. I think he's still a killer player for his age, but yeah, he's not going to be like he was before. Though.
When you have to say for his age
Yeah,
at the end of a sentence,
yeah.
that means that Father
I think
Time
he's
is
a
catching
killer
up.
player, even though for his age, he's still one of the best in the NHL. So I shouldn't just say for his age. I think he's a killer. I think most players in the NHL would love to be as good as Ovechkin at 25.
That is a better
Yeah,
statement.
like they would love
That
to
is a
be.
much better
They
statement.
would love to be
Yes.
as good as Ovechkin at the age of
I
25.
wish I could be as good as Ovechkin at 25 and he is at 35 or
Yeah,
however old he is.
most players out there, I'd say 90 some percent of the league. He's still better than
And here's the
90%.
sick part too, right? Here's the sick part too. 70% of Ovechkin is 100% of the rest of the league when it comes to
Yeah,
like skill and
yeah,
talent.
exactly. Right. Unbelievable talent. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, come on. The average length of an NHL player in the NHL is 3 years. 3 years.
Carolina's tonight. Tampa Bay has two defensemen out. Oh, what are they? Oh, you're making me happy. Not that I want anybody to get injured or anything, of course. We don't want that. But maybe they're out because they have, I don't know, something other than injuries, hopefully. But out's good. Tampa Bay has got who out? Savard is out. Who else is out? Is,
So Lauren, I got to tell you something, right? I was clicking through and I went because I've been trying to watch a little bit of the worlds, um, and and I went out and I went, wow, Italy has a team.
yeah, oh yeah,
All
they've been a
right.
team for a long time.
No, okay, yeah, but they're at. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
man, I had to watch my countrymen get their faces handed to them, but like I couldn't believe that there was an Italian team. I
oh
was like,
yeah, they've been playing in the Worlds for quite some time now. Into Italy, yeah. A lot of people don't know it.
that is impressive. I mean, none of them are Italian names.
Not too many, no. they're Italian descended players that
Yeah. His name might be Guido, but
right.
he don't look paisano to me.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at that game. Okay. Yeah. Bailey, Palmieri, and Pajot. Those like they scored for the Islanders. Of course, Bergeron and Marchand. And then that goal in overtime, I wanted to talk about that. What an unfortunate event that was. That was just terrible. Just shot it off the back of the guy's leg and Zizekas takes off. But that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe it's Megan's voodoo, but that was supposed to be for Pittsburgh, and it didn't work, so I guess not.
Because Pittsburgh isn't in it anymore, right? So, and this is a whole different series here now. This is the Islanders in Boston. Okay. And so, look, the fact
Oh,
is that he just made a
Chernak
really
is
good
out
play
tonight. I forgot about that. Yes, Savard and Chernak are out. All right, they're out.
for Tampa Bay.
Yes, Carolina's all over
That's
this.
gonna that is gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt, man,
Yes,
because
it is.
Savard has been a and Chernak. Both of those guys have been pretty pretty good blue liners for them, man. That's gonna be a hurt piece for that.
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely, that's going to be definitely big. They're going to be
And this
playing.
is
They're going to be playing some guys that shouldn't be playing that high in the lineup. Ruda is going to get a lot of minutes.
that's yeah that changes things up a little bit because this is game two, right?
Mm,
Right, game two. This is at Carolina.
yes,
Okay, and if Carolina doesn't win this game,
yeah, that's big. This is huge for them too. So yeah, like Luke Shen's going to play in their top four. That's not good.
well, that's not
No,
bad.
it's not. It's terrible. Luke Shen can't play in your top four. he, he can't. He can't.
All right, I know. But
It's bad. You don't want Luke Shen in the
he's
top
a
four.
he's a liability. He's a liability.
Yeah,
I
he's
get it.
good in like sheltered minutes and beat people up a little bit. Get on the put him on the
But if
penalty.
that's all you doing for, if that's all you doing for, if you just have giving him sheltered minutes
Yeah,
and just put him out there at those
he
particular
can't do that in the
places and
top four
time,
role. He's got to be out there all the time. So,
right?
and then the
Exactly.
kid's going to be coming in. Foot, Kalen Foot, which they didn't see, haven't seemed to have enough confidence in him to play him too much. Cal Foot, I should say, not Kalen, Cal Foot. So he'll be coming in,
Okay.
and yeah, that's going to make them have to play heavy minutes to Hedman and McDonough and Sergachev.
That's also going to mean that Vasilevsky's going to have to step up too, because with the defense not being all the way there, you would think that Carolina would be.
Here,
I
they
mean,
should be smelling blood here for sure.
it's the hurricane warning here. I mean, this really needs to, especially and not just the first 10 minutes. It needs to be the whole game. Like Carolina just needs to come out and just bite these guys in the rear
They got
end.
to put, yeah, they got to play desperation here tonight. And I think they will, and I agree. I think Carolina all day in this one. We'll talk about that when we get to the game, but yeah, for sure, Carolina all day on that. So there was something else I wanted to talk about that was interesting just recently. I noticed. I'm gonna look it up here. Um, oh, wrong thing.
I thought we got everything covered.
Well, there's always more. It's hockey. Never ends.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it's hockey. We can say that
Oh, that's it.
the
Pittsburgh Penguins permit Jim Rutherford to be interviewed elsewhere. So Jim's not done. He's gonna just be a general manager until he's 90, apparently.
oh, okay, because he was relieved of duties earlier this
Well,
season,
no, he kind of told them he didn't want to be there
or he
anymore.
stepped down or
Yeah,
something like that, right?
he told
Yeah.
him he saw the writing on the wall is what he saw. he was going to make a trade for with Letang, and they nixed it, and he's like, okay, I'm done. I'm sure that wasn't the only thing. It was probably several things that happened.
Well, there just so happens to be some general manager positions available, isn't there?
Yeah, so there. I thought we'd talk about that as we continue going on because there's a lot of coaching and stuff going on as well for teams that are going to be looking for coaches and stuff like that. You know, how much before we go on though, we'll keep it into the series. How much rope does Sheldon Keefe have now? If let's say Toronto loses in the first round next year, do you think he makes it that far? They got to have a big comeback in the regular season, and which nobody cares about the regular season with Toronto now, right? Making the playoffs or whatever the case may be, it's all about the playoffs next year.
Whoa, hold on, because it's going to be back to regular divisions.
Yeah, Rangers need a
Okay,
GM. Yeah,
okay, yeah, but Toronto's going to be back in their regular division next year, so they're not going to be playing against just the Canadian teams.
yeah.
They're going to be playing up against other teams now that
Boston, Tampa.
so uh if if they don't do something significant in the off season per se, or address some of the issues that cost them the series.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If they don't do some upgrades and or whatever the case is up there, depending on how things go, I think that he's going to have a short leash,
Well,
especially if they come out.
Sheldon Keefe is the coach, right? So like, you're but Dubas too. Dubas too could also be on the short, the general manager as well, right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So if you don't pull something out during the off season or during the draft, and you don't have a good draft, you know what I mean? And depending on what happens with the expansion draft, because see, that's why I think is what how is it it's this is what I think is affecting teams. Because not only do you have to plan for the expansion draft, but now you also have to plan for the regular NHL draft. Okay? And that is why I think it's kind of has been a bit of an odd situation here with trying to hire coaches and GMs, especially this off season.
Mm-hmm.
The Kraken came out and said they wanted to hire their coach before the draft. Okay,
Yeah.
well, time's a ticking.
Well, yeah, they'll have somebody in place. Like I said, I think they probably already have their guy. They just haven't announced it.
But there's other coaching positions that are available, like New York, like Arizona, like Columbus. You know what I mean? That we're starting to get to that point here now where you need to start having a coach in place because of, all right, who's the guys that we're going to keep, who's the guys that we're going to try and draft, blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think that falls mostly on the general manager, anyways. There in Seattle, I mean, it could have something to do with that. I don't think it has as
Yeah,
much
but
to do with it as you think, though. But
okay.
as people think, like if they haven't hired one now, they obviously don't think having the coaches talking to them about who they're going to pick in the draft is that important. I would think.
Yeah, but see, then again, I mean, teams that don't have GMs, like, I mean, who are the teams that don't have
New York
GMs?
Rangers. Well,
New York Rangers.
well they have Drury, right? No, yeah, Drury. They're sticking with Drury. I think
Okay.
he came in as an intern, but I think they wanted him. And I think the reason why Gordon got fired is he's old, and they've always loved Drury. So they wanted Drury, and they didn't want to lose him because there are general manager positions open, and people are going to be knocking on his door, and they wanted to make sure they didn't lose him. I think that's part of the reason why they did that. So,
Okay. What other general manager positions are open?
okay, let's. Who's been fired? Who's been fired? Is there any open?
I mean, I know there's a coach available that's in Arizona. I know that there is. Uh, that we know the general manager was re-signed in Columbus.
Right. Pittsburgh, no. Oh, wait, Pittsburgh. Yeah, no, they have Hextall. Montreal should, but no. Boston, no. Colorado, no. Minnesota Wild, definitely not. Uh, maybe Poyle finally gets fired in Nashville, but they did come back and make the playoffs, so maybe not. But I still think he probably
right?
should be given,
Probably not in Calgary, seeing as how they made a coaching change with Suter or Sutter.
yeah. Well, that's I don't agree. I think it's very possible that I always get his name Trevelin or whatever his name is. Tree Living. I think it's possible Tree Living could be up there, especially if they have a guy like Rutherford, where they think, because Rutherford, what he is a guy. You don't get him as a rebuild guy, right? You get him to come in and make this team win a cup, like right now, right? So
Yeah,
that's possible in Calgary, where they think that he can. He's a master at adding players that work in his system right away. He did really good in Pittsburgh, man. You got to say, like, he brought in players that worked, that you didn't even think maybe would work when they brought in. Why is his name leaving me? From Toronto, and he went to Arizona. Phil
Kessel.
Kessel.
Yeah,
Who
Kessel.
thought? Who saw that working? And it worked out great, and they won a cup and all of that. So that's possible that he could be let go. Buffalo Sabres, no. San Jose, I doubt they fire Wilson. Um, New York Rangers, Carolina, definitely not. Red Wings, definitely not. Ottawa, definitely not. Los Angeles, definitely not. Yeah, so there's that. It's only there. So I don't know who we'd be talking to. I don't know.
And we know that the general manager in Seattle is Ron Francis.
Yeah, so it's not Seattle. Maybe he's talking about being an assistant manager somewhere or something like that. But I guess what we also could talk about, since we got a couple minutes left, is the Winnipeg Montreal series now.
How about that? We never thought we were going to be talking about that, did we?
No.
No, because that we were all thinking it was going to be Edmonton, Toronto.
Yeah,
Whoops.
yeah. I was so iffy about the Edmonton one, though, because I just kept on. I picked Winnipeg halfway through the season, right? I said they're going to win the North. And I got to stop doing that, changing my mind. If I see something in a team, stick with it. It's probably going to continue. But that's going to be a really tough series now, because Montreal probably, on paper anyways, has a better defense, I would say.
Yeah, but
And goaltending, Price was, and who was it?
Hellebuck.
Yeah, but was it Mercer that said that Price? Really, that's really the thing here. Price did steal that series quite a bit too. He was better than Campbell.
All freaking day long.
Yeah, I mean Toronto did get
He
a
took
enough.
he took Toronto's best shot night after night.
Yeah,
Didn't matter.
yeah.
It did not matter.
Mm,
Okay? And look, everybody was like, and even we were talking about it too, like, man, I don't know, man. Price coming back, not looking good there in the AHL, facing 4 shots, letting in 2 goals there at his little stint there at the end, and blah blah blah. And everybody was like, "Oh, Carey Price, oh, Carey Price."
I was.
Yeah, and he just came out and basically just did what he was supposed to do. He won that series
It
for
it
Montreal.
appears now, if we look back on it. Okay, let's look back on it. They go get Allen, right? Allen's one of the better backups in the league. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him or not or whatever. Or did they give him a 2 year? He might end up in Seattle, whatever. But now when you look back on it, it's almost like they were just telling Price, play when you want to play, get yourself where you need to be, come in and just be ready for the playoffs.
All right,
And that's exactly what he did.
$10 million a year. All right.
Because that's all that matters is they make the playoffs and get in the playoffs. And somebody asked me, I don't know, it was one of the great people in the comment section here. did I think if Price could get back to what he is, like to the Price that we know the Price can be, can Montreal win the cup? Absolutely, he can. Any any
Yeah,
any
I
team
I can see it right
any
now.
team that has players in front of them that can make a playoffs can win a cup with a guy with Price or Hellebuck for that matter, playing at the top of their game. Anyone.
I mean, Vezina Trophy winning goalies are usually um, okay to have on your roster. That usually means they're gonna shut down whatever's coming. So, okay, I'm cool with either one of those. Come on, sign me up for that. I mean, this is one of those series where I think you're gonna see very evenly matched teams.
I think so. Yeah.
And not only that, but is it's also part of the fact that the goaltending is on the same level.
Hmm.
Okay, because you have to put Hellebuck up there with Price, and you have to put Price up there with Hellebuck.
Oh yeah.
They both won Vezina trophies.
Hmm.
Okay, and so even though Hellebuck I think had a better year this year, I think than Price did, but I think exactly what you said. The only thing they were worried about was making sure Price gets to the playoffs.
Hollebuck didn't have a great year after like the trade deadline. He kind of it
Okay.
seems like they kind of did the same thing, but before that, yeah, he had a better year than Price. Price was in and out of the lineup. He was just getting himself healthy and ready and perfectly for the playoffs. And I think maybe that's why I kind of got off of Winnipeg because they came in soft because Hellebuck was probably doing something similar to the same extent. Uh, oh yeah, that's the other thing that we did want to talk about is Grubauer, Vasilevsky, and Fleury as the Vezina nominees. And I like what Projo said. I think Fleury wins that.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah. I think Fleury wins it because he's he's a Hall of Fame. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame goaltender who has never won a Vezina, and he
Okay.
may not get another chance to win another one.
Okay, I didn't realize. All right, I didn't realize that he had never won.
He never won a Vezina. He's never
All
won a
right,
Vezina.
all right. Did not realize that he had not won the Vesna.
Yeah,
So then, to me, that's pretty much going to be a slam dunk. I think.
yeah, he's gonna win it.
Yeah, have to go with the Projo on that man because he is the consummate professional when it comes to goalies.
Yeah, he knows his goaltending.
I
Uh,
mean,
mhm.
he's the goaltending savant or the goalie savant or whatever you want to call that. But
However, he did say Bobrovsky was gonna have a strong year too. So, yeah,
well, he did.
yeah.
He actually did have a stronger year this
He
year
did.
than he did
He
last
had a
year.
stronger year, yeah, I guess, but he wasn't great. Yeah,
Okay,
and he
it
and he
wasn't great,
and
but it was still
and
stronger
he
than it was the previous
and
year.
he caved in the playoffs. But what do you guys say down there? What do you guys say? Who wins the Vesna? Who wins the Vesna in the comment section?
I don't know. I have to say that
I think Vasilevsky deserves to win it.
I agree because 12 games in a row he went.
Yeah,
In a row. 12 games in a row.
and Tampa Bay was holding themselves out for the playoffs all year. So
And he had 31 wins too.
yeah, Varlamov, yeah, Varlamov's implicit. The Islanders guy in the background. Varlamov.
Waving his little flag. It
Yeah,
has a
he's
little
got
V on it.
yeah.
Has a little
Varlamov.
V on it. Varlamov.
Varlamov wasn't even selected as a, but Varlamov. Uh, I don't think Grubauer wins it because two. I don't think Grubauer wins it. Why? Why do I not think Grubauer wins it? I think Vesna. I think Colorado played better in front of Grubauer than Tampa Bay played in front of
Yeah.
front of Vasilevsky. I think Vasilevsky was left out to dry so much this year, last year. But
And you know what? And also, yeah, because if you look at the goals against and the goals for, and that's the other thing too. When you look at Vegas, their differential is really, it's quite amazing what their differential is. It's like what, plus 50 something?
What, goal
What
differential?
they're
Yeah.
Yeah, right, for Vegas. So that makes sense as to why Fleury would be on the list of Vezina Trophy winning candidates.
At the very least, he
So
was almost as good as Vasilevsky, and he's got to get one. So they're going to give it to him. I'm pretty
because
positive of that.
Vasilevsky has won one.
Vasilevsky has won one. I think he's won two, maybe. Has he won? He might have even won two already.
Okay, Grubauer's the only other one though that he hasn't won one.
No, yeah, he's just got it. Came in at the wrong time because I think they got it. I think they're going to give one to Fleury, almost like the way they give Doughty his Norris that year that he won his Norris. He didn't deserve to win that year, that specific year. But
Okay, yeah, but I'm with you on that though. I think Fleury. I have a hard time though because I really think Vasilevsky from Tampa Bay. I think he. It's hard for me to overlook those 12 games, and it's hard for me to look at his overall numbers as far as the number of games that he won, the number of games that he played. You know what I mean? And that 12 game streak, that's tough for me to overlook.
yeah,
If I was voting, I probably would vote Vasilevsky if I had to vote.
yeah. I mean, if I'm looking at who had the actual best year, I'm taking Vasilevsky. But I totally get giving Fleury his.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I agree. You know, because Flurry, this is probably going to be either this last year or the next year. He's probably not going to have too many more years left.
Well, and also implicit isn't just saying Varlamov for no reason. Varlamov put some pretty sick numbers up. We talked about that. Probably the best. It was the best numbers of any goaltender. He just didn't play enough games to unfortunately get himself there. But I even wonder if that's not even really fair because the guy put up a .930. That's stupendous numbers. That's incredible if I remember correctly. So uh, yeah, he definitely should be in the conversation. He'll probably be four on the list or something like that. But Penguins won the
Either
cup.
way, yeah, yeah, yeah. Either way, though, yeah, I get what you're saying, and I agree. We would vote for Vasilevsky, but we would have to give it to Flurry just because he had almost as good, and he's never won one. You know what I mean? And it's hard to put a goalie in the Hall of Fame unless they have one.
Well, there are goaltenders that have made the Hall of Fame and will make the Hall of Fame that haven't won.
Oh, I'm not saying
I
that.
don't
Yeah,
know if there was ever a goaltender that was a first ballot that never won, though. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
whether he wins one or not.
Yes, absolutely no. Especially depending on how long he goes here. How many wins does he have? He's got to be breaking records for wins.
Yeah, he does have a lot of wins, and he does have a lot of shutouts too.
Central Division was the toughest. Wow, we can talk about that when we come back. What was the toughest division this year? They're talking about that right now. Implicit saying the East, Lawrence saying the Central, which I'm sure there's no bias involved there. No, there's no bias involved.
Yeah, but you know what? I'd have to agree. Both of those divisions were probably the toughest divisions.
Well, it definitely wasn't the West. Nobody's going to put
And
the
it
West.
definitely wasn't the North.
Yeah, yeah, probably not. Yeah, it wasn't the North. So it is between those two. Interesting conversation. We'll have that when we come back. Why not? Why not? We can do that. Because
Yeah, we can do
there's
that.
no rules here at Pearls of Wisdom Industries. We just kind of spin it, go with it, and frolic a lot. That's what we do. And we're going to do some of that. Get your doggies out. Get them out. They're probably already there now. They know this time it's reached the time now. They know that it's
Doggy daycare
doggy
time.
daycare time. Our sponsor is up, and we're going to be on a break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss that. What was the toughest division this year? And
There you
we'll
go.
among all of us, we'll come up with the answer, and then we'll tell the whole land what the answer is, and if they argue, they're wrong. Okay, be back in a second.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God. The best division or the hardest division? Because, I mean, the East was competitive, the Central was competitive. I don't think the North was very much. I don't think the West was. I think there were more competitive teams in the Central and in the East than there was in the North and there was in the Central or the West. West. You
Okay.
know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Like Montreal would not have made the playoffs in any of the other divisions. They didn't score enough points to make it to the playoffs in any of the other divisions.
Well, I mean, you can't. I don't think you can go on points. I
Well, they
should
didn't
be
have enough wins.
should be
They
it
didn't
should it
have.
should be good now, Lauren. You should have it back. Because how many points you get in one division is not the same as how many points you're going to get in another division. If Montreal was in
I
the
agree with that. I
if,
agree with
if
that.
Montreal was in the West, they would have got a lot more points. If Montreal is in the East, yeah, you should be able to hear us all now. If Montreal was in the East, then I don't think they make the playoffs.
So they're norm. Okay, so you're saying that if Montreal was playing in the West,
They
that
would get more points.
so you're saying they could have played better against the likes of uh the Kings and the Sharks and the
Yeah,
Coyotes
beat
and
off the bottom dwellers. Yeah, yeah. Here, there's some really good questions to talk about here. Let me bring up the divisions. Uh,
well,
how well does Minnesota do if they're in the East or the Central for that matter?
if they're in the East, they're fourth place, I think, or they're tied for fourth place.
You think so?
I think
That
so,
would
yeah,
really be
because how
good.
many? I think they both had 71.
No, I mean I'm not talking about points. I'm talking about if they were in the East, how who like okay, let's look at the East Division. Are they going to beat out the Islanders or the Bruins or the Capitals or the Penguins? Forget about how many points they got because they were in the West. Their points are going to be higher.
Oh, so do you think I could have? Do you
Do you
think
think
that?
Minnesota was better than the Islanders? Do you think the Minnesota would have beat out the Islanders to make the playoffs in the East?
Wow, that is a pretty good question because I don't know. I would have to see them play. I don't know. That's almost like a coin flip for me because they both made the playoffs, right, in kind of similar fashions. They both kind of play a defensive game, right? They both have pretty decent goaltending, all things considered. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I could make that call. I think Minnesota could have won some of those games.
I think Minnesota would beat the Islanders out.
I don't know though. I don't think I think it would be I think it would be one of those things that would come down to be evenly matched.
Yeah, they would have been right. They would be right in there, but it's a tough call, right? Because if you're now if we're looking at what is the better the most what is the division with the best teams like
See,
the
if you
best
say
teams
that, then you have to go with the West and then the Central.
as if every team if you're looking at every team which Pens have zero goalies, Caps have zero goalies.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this. If you're basing it off of the entire division,
Rangers have zero goalies. What are you talking about?
if you base it off of the entire division, or if you're just basing it off the teams that made it. See, it's all depending on the criteria. What's the best division? I think one of the most competitive divisions was the Central and the East. It was clearly that played out. All of those teams were very close, especially at the end. They were all playing each team every other night, and those teams were winning every other night. And it was very hard fought. Okay? So if you're asking me which divisions were the best as far as competitiveness and things of that nature, I think the East and the Central. I think that the Central has some of the best teams with Florida, with Tampa Bay, and with Carolina. Okay, I think that represents a larger cluster of better teams than in any of the other divisions. If you look at the West, there's only Colorado and Vegas. If you look at the North, there's uh, pick a team: Winnipeg, Toronto, uh, Montreal. What? Really? You're picking Montreal to come out of the North? Really? You understand what I'm trying to say to you here, right? If you look at the East, the best. Okay, Pittsburgh. Boston, yes. Okay, Boston, yes. Washington,
Let's put it this way.
Islanders, much
I
better.
think if the Rangers played in the North Division, they beat out the Canadians and make the playoffs. Do you agree?
If the Rangers played in the North, they would beat the Montreal Canadiens. Yes,
You do. Okay.
yes,
What do they say in the chat about that? Do you guys agree that the Rangers would beat the Montreal Canadiens out of the playoffs if they were in if they were in there?
because isn't the Metropolitan? Isn't that the Canadians, the Rangers, the Flyers, the Pens, and who else is in that division? I'm so used to seeing the East now, and I don't remember who else is in that division. Who's in the Metropolitan? Because the other team is the Atlantic. That's Tampa Bay. That's Boston. That's oh, Washington. Right. So Washington, Pittsburgh, Philly, Rangers, and Montreal. Right.
Yeah.
That's the Metropolitan right there. Okay. So right now, looking at that list of teams right there, there's no way Montreal's coming anywhere close to anything. Because exactly what you said, because the New York Rangers played better, I
Yeah.
think.
I think for me, I have to agree. I think the East Division had the best, most talented teams of all the divisions. From if you go team to team.
So you're saying that all four of those teams beats out the three teams from the Central.
I think okay. I think the Rangers. If the Rangers are in the Central, they probably beat out the Predators.
I don't know if I would go with that far.
I think so.
I don't know if I would go that far. I don't know. That would be tough.
And then East
Because,
Division, like the Flyers, it's tough because like the Devils and Sabres, what are they going to do there? Uh,
well, I think that the Devils are going to be a much improved team in the next 2 years.
oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, I'm talking about like the Red Wings and the Blue Jackets were poopty, but how poopty would they have been in other divisions? You know what? That's what I'm saying. Like it's like where the Blackhawks as
So
good as
if you take the bottom four of each of the divisions,
yeah, let's do that. Bottom
right?
four.
So you take the bottom four of each of the divisions. Would they and switch them around,
Yeah.
right?
Would the Sabres
So
have been as bad as they were if they were in the Central or certainly not the West. They would have
if
been much
if
better.
the Sabres were in the North, right,
Yeah.
they probably would not have had as bad of a season.
No. Exactly. I
But then again, if Ottawa was in the West, they might not have had that bad of a season either,
yeah, true. And if Ottawa was in the East, they probably would have had as bad of a season as Buffalo, if not worse.
or worse,
Worse, yeah.
right? Okay, so or the same thing, like if you were to bring like say San Jose, if San Jose was in the North, right? Would they? I don't think San Jose would have played as good against the teams in the North. To be honest
Oh,
with
I
you, I
don't
just don't.
know. That is a really good one to pull out. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Uh,
because Calgary doesn't isn't Calgary and Ottawa, aren't they part of the West normally?
they're part of the no, they're part of what is it? The Pacific.
whatever.
Vancouver, Calgary, yeah.
Yeah, and San Jose and Colorado and right? Isn't that part of that normal division there?
Yeah, it's Calgary, Vancouver, LA, uh,
Is
Anaheim,
Anaheim in there?
Anaheim,
Okay.
San Jose, guys like that.
Okay, so would those teams have fared any better? I think they would have played better if it was in their
If
normal
it was in their
Pacific
normal
division.
one, would they play better? No, but they would have been better, more chance of making the playoffs because that division is horrible.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That
That's what I mean. They
that
would have had a better chance of
that division's horrible. Yeah.
right. Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So look, what it all basically boils down to is that the best teams right now in all of the league are the ones that are playing for the playoffs, apparently. Because let's face it, Vegas is one of the best teams, Colorado is one of the best teams, Carolina is one of the best teams, Tampa Bay is one of the best teams. Okay. The North, that to me, those guys are all coin flips. So if you want to say Winnipeg is the best and Montreal is the best, okay, I'll buy that. Whatever. You know what I mean? So those are the best teams right now. That's who's playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's like, well, Pittsburgh was the best team going into the playoffs. Okay, maybe on paper, but on the ice, that wasn't the case. And you can't look at Pittsburgh and go, well, man, they scored 86 points where everybody else scored 71. It wasn't the case. You can't look at Boston and say, oh, well, Boston was running away with it. No, they weren't. Neither was the
Just wait
Islanders.
a second. I want to answer Bill Tortolet. They are going to have Bill a special situation where they can travel back and forth.
Yeah, oh yeah, I read that today too, where there is a special compensation that's gonna allow the players to travel back and forth from Canada to the United States for the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's only gonna be one team anyway.
Yeah, that's right. It's only going to be one
It's
team.
only
Yeah.
it's only going to be one team anyway, and it's going to have to be that one team is going to have to allow the United States team to come and stay, and then vice versa,
Yeah, that's all.
right?
Yeah.
So it's only one team, but still they're going to allow that to happen. So that's a plus. So yes, Bill, thank you for putting that out. They are definitely going to do that, where they're going to allow the Canadian team to travel here to the United States, and then the United States team to travel up there to Canada.
Yeah.
So, but thank God for that though, because that would be a whole different ball of wax if they were like, yeah, no, sorry, we can't do that. Sorry. Like, oh, all right. What do you do now? But I also have to say this too. This has been some of the best playoff hockey that I've had an opportunity to witness in quite a
Yeah,
while.
it's been good. It's been close.
It's been really good.
Really
It's
tight
been
games.
very well received. A lot of You're getting a lot more fans that you didn't necessarily see before.
Well, one of the reasons
People
is
that
we're getting back to fighting in the playoffs again. Thank God.
but the fact that we're getting people in the stands now, where you can feel the emotion of the games now.
Yeah. Well, and you get to see that contrast too, right? You
Exactly.
forget what you didn't have when you don't have it, and then when you have it again, it's
Because last year it was gray. There was sheets over the seats. You could hear the echoing of the skates clacking. You know what I mean? In the stands and stuff like that. It was a whole different ball game than what it is now with fans in the stands. I mean, every single time Boston scored, that place just erupted.
hmm
And that was just so refreshing to see.
yeah.
All the yellow in Nashville, right? The sea of red in Carolina, with the hurricane surge that they play for the power play. I mean, just to see that stuff back in the NHL makes these playoffs that much more special.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's been a fantastic playoffs, regardless of the fact that the Oilers in Philadelphia are not in.
And
Fortunately for me,
we're still watching hockey.
fortunately for me, my two other teams, and Vegas is creeping up on Edmonton quite a bit, especially if I end up moving there. Uh, but Vegas and Carolina is in it for me. And Carolina, not only is Carolina in it, Carolina is playing against a team I just can't stand. So I want to see that. So we better talk about those games coming up here.
And you know what? Hey, and you know what? The other team that I have in it is playing against your other team that's in it. Okay? And I frankly think that Colorado,
Mm.
to me, I think is the better team.
Yeah, I do. I'm really excited to see what because Vegas was tired in the last game. They had one day off and then go play against Colorado. That's ridiculous.
And don't forget as well too, Colorado is in a much higher, when you go to Colorado, you're higher elevation, you get tired much more
Yeah, yeah.
quickly. You know what I mean? It's a different situation there in Colorado, and especially to come in there, especially with only having 1 day rest. It's going to be interesting to see how game 2 flies for them. If they get housed again,
Yeah, and I think it's very
ooh,
possible they could.
yes,
When Colorado is playing at their best, they're pretty much unbeatable. Pretty
they
much,
are clicking.
yeah, they're pretty much unbeatable. I don't think anybody beats if uh, Tampa Bay can because they already have. Carolina would be a tough challenge, but I think Colorado is ahead of them the curve yet with Carolina as far as you know McKinnon and those guys that are just a little more mature than some of their players, and I think in that regard they would probably take it. But I mean Nedeljkovic, we're gonna see what he does now against Vasilevsky. Huge game, so we should probably get into that. Um,
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. I have Carolina picked to make it along with Colorado. That's my selection.
okay. Before we go on
For
though, what was the score of the Leafs and Canadiens game again? It was
3-1
three
Montreal,
three
three
one
one.
Montreal. We had two. I had 3-2 Habs. Oh, that was the closest. 4-3 and 4-3. So Weichel had the Habs
So
beat.
you actually picked the
Yeah,
Canadians?
yeah, I did. Yeah,
Hmm.
the reason why I picked the Canadiens is just I
That's why he's the prognosticator
yeah.
and I'm not.
Well, I didn't pick them to win the series, but it was starting to get more and more.
I didn't
I
either.
didn't like the way they were I didn't like the way they were reacting to Tavares being out, and I was
Yeah.
getting pretty much Toronto's not going to do it, and they didn't. So Devondre
No.
said 1-0 Canadians. I don't have that. Why do I not have that? I don't know. Okay, Van Hool had 4-2 Habs. 4-2 Habs. Sorry, Van Hool had 4-2 Habs. Okay, and the Bruins and Islanders was
That was
4-3
4-3
Islanders.
overtime
Islanders.
Islanders, but that was an overtime.
Yeah, and Van Hook had 2-1 Islanders, and H&R had 2-1 Islanders, and everybody else had the Bruins. So, okay, let's get into our game tonight. We'll talk about that now. Take your scores, what have you.
Wow. So how's this for turnaround for you? So second round starts for Montreal and Winnipeg tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Montreal just finishes a game 7, gets a day off, has to fly to Winnipeg.
Well, that's what Vegas had to
Yeah, and
do.
that's not right. They can't.
Well,
That's not right. They got to do
okay.
something about that. That's not even fair. It's not at all.
Well, you know what? I think that if this would have been a normal if this would have been a normal season, there would have been a day or two break in between because they're trying to get this all in before a specific time. You see what I'm saying?
I
So they're
know.
up against the gun here.
I know, but I mean, there's certain lines that shouldn't be crossed, and that's the
Well,
truth.
they, you know what,
You
Perlo,
gotta
buddy?
go.
Let me tell you
You
something.
gotta go a
This
little
whole
later. You go a
season,
little later.
this whole season's been about crossing
Oh,
lines.
it's a couple days finishing later to make sure guys get their rest and stuff like
Hey,
that. We're talking
man,
about injuries and everything.
like I said, there's been multiple lines that have been crossed for this season, and a day's rest is not going to be one of them. I'm
Yeah,
here to tell you. I'm
yeah, I know.
sorry. I agree with you 100%. I'm with you. I disagree the fact that they weren't able to give these guys at least a day. I mean,
Well, more
seriously?
than a day. They need 2 days. They need two
Whatever.
days at
The
least.
fact that you had Boston and Colorado sitting back for 5 6 days, and then Vegas has to turn around the next day and fly out to Colorado
Hmm.
to to
They're not going to win that game, and I feel really stupid for taking Vegas.
and then it's the same thing I think that's going to happen here with Montreal and Winnipeg.
Winnipeg's going to win that game for sure.
You know, it's only one day. You exhausted a lot of energy. Game seven. I mean, let's face it. Game seven.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's game seven here. Come on, folks.
Anyways, tonight's game is the Lightning and
Tampa Bay, Carolina.
Lightning
Mm,
versus
mm,
Carolina. This
mm,
is an
mm,
I don't know. This is a coin flip to me, but
mm.
I think Carolina will probably pull it off. I just can't see them losing two in a row. What do you guys got out there? What's the score? Who do you got win?
I don't know, but Bill said about putting Rask or putting Swayman in instead of Rask. I tell you what, man,
It's
until
probably not going to
until
happen though.
it's probably not going to happen unless Rask drops like 2 games in a row, maybe, and by a lot.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to see Rask just completely melt down in order to see Swayman in there. You know what I mean? That's just, and I know he was slamming his stick yesterday. I saw that little clip of him slamming his stick there at the end,
Hmm.
coming off the ice, and I get it, but that just shows me that he has the fire and he's going to come back swinging. He didn't play that bad, really. I mean, he didn't really play that bad. It's just. Uh, I don't see Rask going anywhere unless he completely melts down.
And oh yeah, it said that the Canes aren't scoring. The Canes aren't scoring because they're not going into the areas they need to score. They got to get more physical in this game. They got to be.
They have to,
They're
especially against Tampa Bay. You got to body them guys out.
they're playing a European possession game, and you're not going to win in the playoffs like that. You're not. Not on a
No,
regular basis. I mean, they're good enough that they can get by, but you don't want to be getting by. This team needs to get into those areas right now against Tampa Bay, especially against now that they have going to have defensemen with less mobility in the back end. If Chernak, I still don't see Chernak being out here. I refresh my thing and it still doesn't say that he's injured, but it looked like a pretty bad injury when it happened. However, they got to get into those areas this game. They got to grind it out, and
like they did against
they
Nashville,
can't be
or
playing.
like Nashville tried to do against them, and you need to do that against Tampa Bay.
And it's possible that they were still kind of pretty beat up, and were having a tough time getting the intestinal fortitude to get in those spots the first game, right? Because Tampa had more rest, and this one you could see a lot. I think you'll see a lot different Carolina team. I would imagine.
I'd have to imagine that as well too, because that's also part of the other situation too, where uh, Tampa Bay has been sitting back a little bit. They didn't have to go 7 games with Florida, right?
Right. They
And
they didn't, and what Carolina went six with Nashville.
no, they won 7. Yeah, no, they won 6.
Yeah, six. Yeah.
But it was only they had the same issue where Carolina had played the night before, right? And then that first game there was against Tampa Bay there the other night. You know what I mean? So they didn't have that much rest compared to what Tampa Bay did, even though they were playing in Carolina. You know what I'm saying? So I agree. I think we're going to see a different Carolina team tonight. I really expect Carolina to be more intense. I expect them to be breaking out the Ye Olde club and swinging away here on this because they really need to. I think this is a must-win game for Carolina because you can't go into the second round of the playoffs and drop the first two games at home. You can't do that,
No, you don't want to be. That's for sure. It certainly puts you in a rough spot. Hey,
especially
Ulysses.
that especially when you're going back to Tampa Bay for the next two games. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Hey, Ulysses. Everybody get some hype in the chat for Ulysses. Haven't seen him in a long time.
Hey,
Welcome, buddy.
hey.
How you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
hey, hey. Welcome, welcome. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for joining, checking us out, and all that other great stuff. Look, we couldn't do this if it wouldn't be for you guys' support. Please tell your friends. Please hit the like and subscribe. Pearlo's here every day, man, 3 to 5 every day. That's why he's the man. So thank you all very much for checking it out. Also, would like to take out a big, huge shout out to all y'all fans out there for hitting the website, checking it out, man. We got over 18,000 hits.
18,000. Wow.
18,000 hits since April 19th.
Crazy.
So thank you guys very much for that. With that kind of great support from you guys, that's allowed us to garner another sponsor. So we will be throwing another sponsor out there for you guys. So be checking out a commercial for them coming up here real soon. So yeah, thank you guys very much for all the support. Really appreciate you being on the Pearlo show. Really appreciate all the feedback. We love doing this. This is why we're here, man. So thank you all very much.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Love all these guys coming here every day and joining this fine programming. I'm just saying it will be Fleury, JP. They're saying, talking about, unless Fleury's injured, and I haven't heard that he is, Fleury will be in net for tomorrow. There's no doubt about it. They're not going back to Laner now. You might as well. Uh, like, if you haven't noticed, Vegas isn't a team that sits around and waits for something to do. Uh, if DeBoer puts Laner back in the net tomorrow and they lose the series, I wouldn't doubt that he's gone. Like that,
Wow.
yeah. Well, they look at where they fired Gallant. Gallant brought him to the finals, brought him to the
Yeah, that's
playoffs the
true.
next year. Halfway through the next year, he's gone.
Gone.
They don't screw around in Vegas. We're winning here, and
No, they don't.
if
Win or get out.
win or get out. That's it. There's lots of coaches out there. Next, uh, that's
Wow.
uh,
There's a lot of coaches available now, and there's not very many. I mean, there's the Arizona gig, there's the Columbus gig, there's the New York Rangers gig,
yeah. Columbus
right?
is to me is going
And
to be the most interesting one.
and then there's also the Seattle gig, right? But we think that Seattle's already got their guy lined up. They're just waiting to make the
Yeah,
announcement.
I think that's going to be Talkett myself because just Talkett and Francis to me just speaks to me. It just seems like seem perfect to each other. I think it's going to be Talkett.
I never thought of it like that. But now that you mention it, Ron Francis and Rick
They're
Tocchet.
from the same era. They played, they played on all-star teams together. They played all kinds of like they've known each other in some way, shape, or form for quite some time. Didn't Francis and Talkett play on the same team? Didn't Talkett play in Pittsburgh when
Uh,
Francis was there, or no? Was he in Philadelphia at that time?
I think he was in Philadelphia at that time.
Okay, so
Rick Tocchet was because he played in Philadelphia for quite a few years.
yeah,
Like 6 years, I think he was in Philadelphia or more. He could have been there for
I
more.
wanted to bring up another coach here that could. Where was that
What?
now?
Babcock?
Oh, Lambert. Lambert is a young coach that has been his assistant. He's New York Islanders. He's a coach in the New York Islanders, and he's been coming up very quick. He feels like a guy that might go to Columbus. Uh,
Okay, okay, I see what you're saying
or
there.
I could see it go maybe in in Arizona possibly, but
Well, those are,
Laner or Leonard doesn't matter. If some people say Laner,
yeah.
some people say Leonard, it doesn't
You
matter.
know what though? This game tonight, like I have been tuning in to specific series games, and then other games I watch, like the condensed game, because that's a lot of hockey to watch, right? Well, most of all the Carolina games I've tried to watch those, and the Colorado games I've tried to watch too,
Yeah.
right? So I will be front and center tonight.
Yeah, I'll be. Yeah,
Okay, this is to me, this is must-watch hockey right here.
yeah, it's going to
Okay,
be a huge game.
and I'm pretty sure that John from All to All Hockey is going to probably be streaming this game. If you guys get a chance to check him out, boy, you got to check him out, man, because John is the man. Okay, we don't call him the greatest of all time for nothing. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah,
check him out.
he's going
But
to be awesome.
I will definitely be front and center for that game, and I will be having my popcorn
Yeah,
because yeah, because that game should be filled with lots of hits. Okay,
I hope
seriously,
so.
Tampa Bay.
Carolina better. I hope so because they haven't been.
That's what I mean. This needs to be. I think we're at that level now where they were against Nashville, where they realized that we better bring the A plus plus game, or we're not going to make it past Tampa Bay.
Yeah, there. This is the one where everything that you've learned, everything that you have built up and grown to be as a team is in this game here tonight for Carolina. This is the best of Carolina's got to be tonight.
Nedeljkovic needs to stand on his bloody head. Excuse the co-host. She agrees. She
Hmm.
feels
Yeah. What do I think of the Ryan
the
Reese
Ryan Reese.
suspension? Yeah, I think he deserved it. Apparently,
Yeah,
he, yeah, he put all, he cross-checked his head on the. That's see now. Okay, you're
he
gonna
didn't cross. He didn't cross check his head. He hit him in the back of the head with his fist.
and hit it to the ice, right? Hit his
And then after that, then he took him down to the ice. Like he pulled him down by his like he horse collared him.
yeah, and then but he put his head into the ice as well, like
Yes. Yeah,
purposely.
correct.
That's
Correct.
okay. This is the difference between what Wilson did and what Reeves did. All Wilson did was punch a guy in the ribs a couple times harder than my friends would have when we were play fighting when I was a kid. What Reeves did, that's suspend. If you're going to take somebody's head and smash it into the ice while he's down, yeah, he gets suspended for that. That's what do you need to do that? Especially if you're Reeves. You know, you don't need to do that. You're a big enough guy. You can ragdoll a guy anytime you want. You don't. That's now you're getting to the point where you're not you're bullying and you're putting a guy's head like it's his head. Yeah, just yeah, definitely, no doubt about it. Is it
Yeah.
2 games? It's a
Yeah, it's two
that's
games.
no, but is it two
No,
games?
but I mean
Should it
that's what
be
the
more?
suspension.
Should it be more or whatever? It's 2 games in the playoffs. It's 4 games in the regular season. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if you're doing stuff like that, I mean, I can't
Is
really
it
say. I can't
is it
really
his
say.
first offense? Is this the first time he's ever done anything? Is it
Probably not. I don't know if he's. I don't remember him.
because
Let's
I that name doesn't ring bells when I hear about suspensions and that
considering
name.
how he plays, he usually
That's what I mean.
considering how he plays, he usually doesn't go over the line like this. Uh,
uh, Jay, I Steele has one dog, just the one. That's more than enough. but she's an 80-pound dog, and when she starts to bark, and well, she's the co-host at that point, so. But yeah,
I'm looking at his history here.
he probably doesn't
Yeah.
have to see.
What is who? Okay, here's some interesting stuff here. Uh,
Reeves.
the league noted Reeves' disciplinary history. He had been fined twice. He just had fines, never been suspended.
Okay,
Oh,
so he's
sorry.
only been.
Was suspended one game for a hit to the head in last year's playoffs. Oh, he was hit. Oh, he was suspended more than one. He was suspended for 3 games for boarding in 2016. Uh,
Okay, but that's boarding. That's a different call, and it was 2016, so that's 5 years ago.
yeah, Reeves continues to. Somebody, I'm trying to find. Somebody says that Reeves is the cleanest pugilist in the NHL.
All right, so it's not like he was. I don't know, man. That looked pretty on purpose to me. You know what it looked like?
Okay,
Here's what.
his own coach said this. Peter DeBoer spoke up for Reeves during Monday's meeting availability before the ruling. It's hard to defend Ryan. He said, "To me, Reeves is one of the cleanest, tough guys that I've seen in the league in my 12 to 13 years." But he didn't defend his action. His own coach. So
Well, that's because his action was stupid.
yeah.
You know what it seemed like to me, and this is what I've been noticing throughout the playoffs, is that players are trying to get away with what they can get away with.
Oh yeah,
A-
always.
And until you call it or until you stop it, they're going to keep on trying to get away with what they can get away with. And that's what it seems like he was doing, and he just got caught.
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll go back to this again. Okay, do did these things happen back in the day? Not to the same extent usually, but in back in the day, he I don't even know if he would have got suspended for what happened. But I'll tell you what, right now, his next 3 or 4 games would have been painful, very
Easily.
painful, because again, the refs would have closed their eyes to butt ends and stuff like that. They know what happened. They saw what Reeves did. So when he goes into a corner and a guy gives him 6 inches in the ribs and he goes down and goes, "Hey, how come you didn't call that?" The ref just goes away and, well, you don't do that crap then. I saw what you did. They're going to come back at you. That's what happens. So if you're not able to take it, don't do it.
See, that's why I really get discouraged when they try to take that kind of stuff out of the game.
Yep, I agree.
Because if you don't, then you get this kind of stupidity
Mm-hmm.
where these guys feel that they can do these kinds of dumb things,
Yep.
right? I can tell you that in watching a lot of old hockey or hockey from back in the day, and you look at how things were handled, you're right. There is no way that the next game that player was stepped out onto the ice, I guarantee you in the first 20 seconds of that guy being out on the ice, there would be gloves dropped, right? And he would either have a big giant shiner or something to deal with for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, Reeves would definitely have to fight, and he's still probably going to have to fight, but nobody wants to fight Reeves. That's the problem. That's why what happened here back in the day was slashes to the ankles, all of those sort of things like that happened to Reeves, are not
Mm-hmm.
going to get called for a while.
Yep.
You're gonna take some pain, and I'm gonna and as long as you're not stupid about it, the referees are gonna let go what players do to Reeves for doing what he did, and that's why those kind of players like that generally didn't act like that back then, because it hurts, man. It freaking hurts. I
To get slashed in the ankles?
it hurts like a son of a gun. I was a yappy. You wouldn't even know me when I played. You would have like Perry is me. Okay, when I played, I ticked off a lot of guys, and I took slashes to the ankles. I said stuff, refs heard me, and I knew for the rest of the game there wouldn't be a call on me all game. So I had to change. I had to shut up and wait for the butt ends into the ribs and all the crap that's going to happen to me because that's what happens. So it was that was the way the game's supposed to be played, and I just and now the suspension nonsense to me just
Like I said, I remember not too many years ago when I don't remember hearing about a suspension czar or a safety officer for the NHL
yeah,
or,
yeah,
I know they had one, but you never heard who it
yeah.
was,
I mean, certain things were
right?
suspendable, and
Yeah,
somebody brought up
you know,
Kadri's hit. Why does he get 8 games and Reeves only gets two? Because Kadri has been an idiot for a very long time. Nobody likes Kadri. Nobody. Nobody. Not even his own teammates like Kadri. And he's done some stupid stuff. And that was a high hit in this NHL that he knows he shouldn't do. You can't do it in this NHL. And he's got 8 games because he just never learned his lesson. He did the same thing over and over and over and over again. Where Reeves plays a tough guy role where he'll drop him if you ask him, and
yeah,
he plays the role with respect and honor. And
yeah.
although he is walking the line and he's made some mistakes walking that line, which is very difficult not to do, it's just very difficult not to do. He has garnered respect in the league for the way he is, the way he is. So that's the reason why he gets two and Kadri gets 8. And if Kadri does anything like that again, I don't even want to know it again. You think
Probably,
that's eight
yeah.
games, 8 playoff games? That would be like, that's basically them saying if it was a regular season and he did that, he'd get 16 games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty serious, I would say. Maybe you shouldn't do that kind of stupid. Oh man, look,
Oh, and oh yeah, okay. Avatar brings up a good point. They also the player that Kadri hit was injured, and Graves did come back in the game, and fortunately or unfortunately, that does play a factor.
it does,
Yeah.
but I don't know, man. I look at both of them as kind of they were both doing things that they knew was wrong, and they still did them anyway. And not only did they do it once, but they continued to do it.
They cross. Reeves crossed the line. He was embarrassed. They were getting their butt kicked. They were unhappy that they were so tired and couldn't put up a fight against Colorado. And he basically went out there to do what the old Philadelphia Flyers would do, or a lot of teams back then would do. That if we're not going to, or like the owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs once said, if we're not going to beat you on the ice, we're going to beat you in the alley, right?
Well,
And that's what he basically went out to do. He went out to hurt somebody. I don't think he went out to hurt somebody in their career or anything. And he went over the line. He went over the line, for sure, no doubt about it.
well, that's what happens when you go over the line, man. You get suspended.
Yeah,
Both players went over the line. They both get suspended. That's just the way it goes.
yep. But
Okay, so
I think the suspension thing, in most cases, I think it's honestly, I think it doesn't need this league thinking that suspensions and stuff like that are the way to solve the problem. I don't like the way that's going. I don't like the I don't like the lane that is taking, because I've been watching World Championship hockey during the day, because because it's on, it's hockey, I guess you want to call it that, and you watch it or whatever. And if the NHL turns into that, I'm taking football up. I'll tell you that right now.
okay.
I'm not want. I don't want any part of that. I don't want any part of floating around in the neutral zone waiting for passes. Nobody. If you go in the corner, you go to. If you go into the corner, you're out of position. It's basically like playing a form of football, soccer, European football, or soccer on skates, and I don't want it. I don't want any part of that
Right.
at all. And this suspension thing, when you're going to talk about 16 games, 17 games, 18 game suspension, guys are just not going to go towards that line anymore.
Perlo, I gotta go, buddy.
You got to go. Are we? Oh, really?
Yep. Nope, but I gotta go, man. I can't. I gotta go. All right.
Yep.
I'll talk to you guys later. I gotta go.
Okay, I'll continue this until we end here. Hope everything's all Okay, how now? There you go. Gotta have sound now. There, you can hear me now? You should be able to hear me now. Let me know if you can hear me. Oh, there we go. You got her. Yeah, I guess Steele had to take off. Okay. I'll go a little longer here. I got a little time before I got to pick up my wife, so that was a good conversation. I don't know. It's a dangerous path they're going with all the suspension stuff for me. I honestly don't think it really is. It's a deterrent, I suppose. But it's also a deterrent to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. The game the game is meant to be played on a line, and you don't want to and you walk that line. It's what makes the game great. The more they take the money out of these people, out of players' pockets, especially the players that don't make a lot, and the more they can't play for 6 games, 7 games, 10 games, or whatever for things, the more you're not going to see hitting in the game. Because nobody's going to take the chance. There's going to be less and less hitting in the game if people think they're going to get suspended. Now, also, you can put the hitting back in the game by having the referees close their eyes a little bit and let the players take care of it on the ice. You go over the line like Reeves did. The team that's going to play him again, the referees are going to close their eyes a little bit, and Reeves is going to take a lot of pain for a game or two. And I'll tell you, it is a lot of pain. It's not fun. It hurts. I don't care how big you are. You start taking butt ends to the stomach, slashes to the legs, slashes to the ankles, and the referees are allowing it to happen. You take a couple punches and scrums that you normally wouldn't take. Elbows to the elbows and stuff like that, and the referees turn a blind eye to it. You're not going to do stuff like Reeves did. I don't know what happened. I'm sure it's probably, if he didn't tell us right there, it's probably personal. So I'll just let that go. He has some personal thing he needs to take care of right out of the blue like that. So that's probably what happened to him. Or I don't know. He had something he had to do real quick because I didn't know anything about it. So I'm sure he'll be all right. But anyways, yeah, I'm really, check out the video I'm going to be posting a video here when I get back from picking up Caroline, my wife, from work. And it talks a lot about this, about what happened in Toronto and all of that kind of stuff like that, and having that warrior mentality. And I do not want to remove that warrior mentality that's needed for the game of hockey, because it's really what hockey is all about. It is why people watch the game. It's a war. We want it to be a war. We don't want it to be just a finesse game where, people flip the pucks and they make cool little plays. We want the war. And I think suspensions are going down a road where it's possible where we lose it. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of that being how we solve the problem of the problems that we have with, headshots and all that kind of stuff like that. But it's heading that way. We've been saying that for a while, that it's heading that way. And so far, it's still a pretty great product. So I still love it. I still love the game. But I don't want it to go anywhere near that. I don't. Well, my friends, I guess that's going to be our full 42. I just wanted to make sure that if that were to happen and we lose the host, I could figure out a way to keep on talking. And thanks for coming on, guys. I'll be on again tomorrow. I'll probably be on the stream with John tonight for a little bit. I'm going to be on a stream with them this week, maybe Thursday. And I'll check you guys all out then. See you tomorrow. Have a great day. Lots of love to you. Okay, bye.